Good evening, and welcome to Let's Talk with Lakshmee, a show about us, our people, our community, our culture, our experiences. And viewers, I have a brand new face to introduce you to here at the Let's Talk with Lakshmee TV show. She's a woman who has dedicated her life to the betterment of Guyana. She is the new Prime Minister candidate of the PPP of Guyana, Mrs. Elisabeth Harper. Mrs. Harper, welcome to New York City and welcome to the Let's Talk with Lakshmee TV show. How are you?
Thank you, Lakshmee. I'm very well. I'm happy to be in New York again.
Great. So we are all very excited to have a new Prime Minister candidate after the dedicated services of the Honorable Mr. Samuel Hines in Guyana. Now, Mrs. Harper, a lot of people are calling your nomination game-changing for the elections of Guyana. Could you tell our audiences a little bit about yourself, your family, and how many years you've been part of the PPP?
Okay. First of all, I am 57 years old. I have served in Guyana's public service for just under 4 decades.
Wow.
And I'm married. Between ourselves, my husband and I, we have 5 children, 2 grandchildren. I'm married to Mark Harper, who is a former Guyana cricketer, national cricketer. And I'm excited at the role that I've been placed in. It would give me an opportunity to serve Guyana in a higher capacity than I have been serving, but all in all, to continue my service to the people of Guyana. I'm not a member of the PPP.
Okay.
I'm a part of the Civic component of the PPP Civic.
Okay. Now, what would you say is your greatest accomplishment to date? I know you've done so much, you're on an international level, but what would you say is your greatest accomplishment to date?
Well, I would say being in the Foreign Service for so long, I have held the position of Director General now since 2001. And so therefore I feel that I've been able to hold that position, accomplish some changes in our ministry, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But I feel that it is the small things that I might have done during my tenure at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that would have added up to my career, amongst them being an inspiration to my staff and being able to help in molding the careers of young Foreign Service officers up and coming. And we have some very bright young people at the Foreign Ministry, and I see a lot of future for them.
Okay. Well, I know last night in New York City was your first appearance that you're making, and you visited the American Seva Ashram. That was hosted actually by Vijay Bisram, a dear friend of mine. And I know that you chose the topic of domestic violence. Why did you choose that topic?
Well, it is something that is now very topical. It is a real issue in our society. It is something that we have to really try to curb. And I felt, being a woman, being able to relate to the issue, that I could bring something to the table to be able to work with women across the country, NGOs and other key stakeholders, to help us in Guyana to curb this scourge of domestic violence. There are systems in place, mechanisms, legislation. We have a Domestic Violence Act, and national legislation has been put in place with respect to that. But we have to make sure that it's fully implemented. We also have to make sure that we can encourage women to come out and talk about their experiences, their story. If they are a victim, encourage them to come out and get help. One of the the things that the manifesto, the PPPC manifesto, will come out with is that we are going to be establishing a special victims unit that would deal not only with domestic violence but child sexual abuse cases, that would allow for the treatment of persons who come in to give a report of a particular incident. Confidentiality is important. How you deal with the evidence is important.
Right.
How you investigate is important. And so that special victims unit will take on that function. We also have to train our police officers, and so that is also going to be a part of how we will, address issues with persons who are, abused children.
Right. Now, you mentioned that something that you can relate to. Were you a victim of domestic violence?
I did experience in my first marriage, yes.
Okay. And, I mean, it takes a very strong person to, first of all, walk away from something like that. And now to become as powerful and, as brilliant as you are, to walk away from something like that. What message would you give to a young woman that is looking at this show right now that's experiencing domestic violence in their home?
I would say that it's important to try to hold on to your self-confidence and to get help, to talk to someone. It's very important not to sit and suffer. What also happens is that women sometimes may want to further their education, but they're not getting the encouragement. So that too is something that I feel they need to at least speak about to, someone whom they can trust. Mm-hmm. We have shelters, we have homes where people can go to, and they can also do that if there is not a support mechanism at home for them to share their experiences with or their confidence with, then they can go to the shelter and report what might be happening. Because if they have children, the children are also suffering.
Right.
Elegant Floral Design. We can help you beautify your event. No occasion is too big or too small. We specialize in floral decor and party planning for every event. Please call 718-322-9786. Please use promo code Lakshmee for a discount. Welcome to Platinum Celebrations Incorporation, event planner and on-day coordinators. Formal or casual, large or intimate, held at a private residence, dazzling venue, or the beach. Platinum Celebrations' unparalleled service and attention to details will take your special occasion from the ordinary to the extraordinary. As a full-service event planning company, our service goes beyond design and decor to encompass entertainment, linen and table settings, flower arrangements, party favors, invitations, photography, and so much more. From selecting the perfect site to achieving the perfect mood. We promise to guide you through the planning process from beginning to end, and we are on site throughout the entire event to ensure all of your time and money invested goes according to your liking. Contact Shivi at 347-432-8545 for a free consultation. Remember, Platinum Celebrations is here for your special day.
Guyana has been rated one of the countries with the highest rate of suicide. CNN actually rated Guyana number 1 this year. Now, we've all, heard about someone or know someone that drank poison because maybe losing a loved one, or try to hang themselves because of economic struggles in Guyana. When elected, what will you do to help lower the suicide rate?
Well, it is indeed prevalent and an issue that we are very concerned about, and have begun stepping up the activities that were in place in terms of community-based activities, in terms of speaking to communities about suicide and trying to dissuade But certainly what we would like to do once we elected to government is to ensure that we can have our education system also play a part. We have the health and family life education program, which is part of the curriculum in our schools, which deals with training of life skills, teaching life skills. And so it would allow our adolescents, young people, to learn how to deal with peer pressure, how to deal with stressful situations, so that they take another route and not a route of where they would want to take their life because they may be depressed over some particular situation. We also have to, I believe, encourage the faith-based organizations to talk to their communities, to talk to their fellowship, the persons who go there to their churches, to the mosques, to the temples. It's an all-inclusive program that has to work for us when we talk about how are we going to address this very damaging issue in our society.
I mean, it's great to hear that it's being implemented in the schools. Now, do you know what grades it's starting at by any chance?
Well, the health and family life would begin from the secondary schools.
Okay. Well, we all know beautiful Guyana is the land of many waters, and tourism is definitely a growing business in Guyana. But there's still a lot of people who are a little afraid to go back home because of police and security. When elected, what would you do to change that?
Well, our party has laid out a 15-point plan.
Okay.
It's 15 for 2015 to deal with the curbing of the criminal activities, crime, putting more security measures in place. And one of the points in the 15-point plan is to assist the police force in its reform, to allow for the police to get more training so that they could become more professional, and to have community policing, which is important. The community policing would be a network into the central police system. We also are going to be looking at the 911 emergency response time. And
what's the time frame on that now? Let's say I call 911. I'm in, we're from East Bank, Little Diamond. So if I call 911 from East Bank, Little Diamond, how long will it take a police officer to come to me?
Well, I really can't see.
Okay.
Because
how long will they take?
I don't want to put a time, but
okay.
what we are going to be ensuring is that it is a system that will work now, that you will make sure that first of all the calls are answered and acted upon, in a shorter time frame that we are experiencing now. We also would be looking at equipping the police force, and the welfare of the police is important as well. I've said before that police are people too, and they have a very demanding job, a stressful job to take on, and they have families to look after when they go home.
Of course.
So welfare of the force is important as well.
Of course. Now, as an Afro-Guyanese, we all know that race plays a very important role in Guyana for many, many years. As an Afro-Guyanese, would you say that the PPP government has been unfair to Afro-Guyanese villages, businesses, or people?
No, I won't say that, because it is not an accurate. It's not an accurate statement. It may be a perception held by some, but if you look at the makeup of the public service, if you look at the makeup of the PPPC nomination list, you would see inclusivity of all our races. There are Afro-Guyanese there. I am one. And so that in itself, I believe, would show that, that is not quite accurate in terms of how people view the PPPC as not being an inclusive party. Businesses, we have many businesses in the private sector that are run by Afro-Guyanese and doing quite well. So,
yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting. For many years, we've had an Indian president, of course, and we've had a black prime minister, but yet people still have this race card. And, for many years, PPPC is known as Indian government. I mean, why do you think that is, and what can be done to change the minds of people?
Well, it has to start with our young people, and it has begun. Our young people are, a very bright set of people. They have quite a number. I believe it's just approximately about 40% the voting of young people this year. And so they are the ones who can change how we think, our mindset, how the country moves forward towards being more united, towards more one people. And so we are very keen to engage the young voters, our young people, to help them to, one, come out and vote. Secondly, for them to be encouraged to stay in Guyana and help to build Guyana.
Do you think more young people want to stay in Guyana today, as opposed to, let's say, 30 years ago?
I think so. And also I can say that from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, what we saw when people are remigrating, quite a number of young people are coming back home to open their businesses, either their own or to continue the family business. It's not just persons who may have retired and want to just go back home and live out their retirement years. So we're seeing the interest, but we have to maintain the interest. We have to keep it. We have to keep them interested.
Keep that interest going.
2 months ago, after my mother's hospitalization, the doctors wanted to put her in hospice. And I'm like, they deemed her terminal. And I saw Mr. Thakur, I think the founder, on TV, and he was advertising this Indian community in Kings Harbor. It's a great Indian community where my mother feels at home, and she expresses her happiness to me whenever I come.
I know when I come I feel happy. I stay couple and I see everybody and I'm so happy.
I brought my mother here like a month and a half ago, and I haven't regretted my decision. It's one of the best decisions I've made for my mother. It's a home away from home.
Guyana, oh Guyana.
I know this school is a place set up in the community to help children to further their education, to achieve a goal, a computer certificate. I want to thank God for the scholarship for Rebecca Jerram, sponsored by the school. And the owner, I just want to thank God for them. They can continue to do the good work as they are doing in this community.
I want to say a special thanks to Save Abee Computer School because my daughter went to school. She do a computer course here, and she went for an interview at the Regional Democratic Council for a job with 49 persons for 2 spots. And she indicated to them that she do a course at Save Abee Computer School, and she do have a certificate. And as soon as she produced the certificate, she was hired on the spot.
Well, we all know that President Obama recently visited Jamaica. Mm-hmm. Now, Guyana has not had an American elected official visit in quite a while, a high level. I mean, when can we see something like that happen? I mean, is there any chance of President Obama visiting Guyana?
Well, you never know.
Right.
But I know that it was something that we had been working on for President Obama to come to the region and meet with our heads of government. And so it was historic, but and also I know that they had a very productive meeting. We've been talking about security now in the region. The United States has been helping us with our crime and security program with CARICOM, and energy security as well. And so those are 2 very important aspects of the discussions that took place in Jamaica. And we hope that we could, keep the program of cooperation going with the United States of America.
Great. Now, you're here in New York City visiting the diaspora, going on tons of meetings, I'm sure, fundraisers, getting the word out there, showing your beautiful face, your wonderful voice. What can the diaspora do to help Guyana?
Well, I think they can continue to do what they're doing. I know that many of them help Guyana, but we don't know what they do because they do it quietly, some of them. Others would have a structured program that they would come every year, maybe twice a year, and either do a medical outreach or teaching, helping in communities. And so we would like to encourage that. But we also have a program where we had started with the International Organization for Migration to tap the data, capture the data of the skills that exist in the diaspora. And that was an online exercise, a survey. that has been completed, and we now want to move to the second phase, which would allow us now to match the skills that are in the diaspora to the needs that are in Guyana. And so that's what we're going to be looking at in the next phase of the project, and hopefully we can have a few practical migrations. Yes.
What would you
not
do?
so much migration, but because we don't, it's not that people want them to come back and stay, but they can help in a short, medium, long term.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm actually part of the Nirvana Humanitarian Foundation, and we go back to Guyana every year, and we do programs mostly in the West Coast, for the orphanages and the Hindu schools, and our way of giving back is usually through drama, and we raise funds to give back to these different groups. And I'm actually now very proud to say I'm part of the Save Abee outreach program in Berbice, Guyana, where their goal is to teach every child to use the computer one child at a time. And they did their first medical outreach last year, September. We're going back, I think, in August for another medical outreach program. So, there are a lot of people who do try to give back. They can't, like you say, live there. There are people who are remigrants. My parents are remigrants, and they're very active in actually the temples in Guyana. But when you're thinking about who can match what needs there are over there, I mean, that's great. There are a lot of doctors and a lot of people who do go back to give. So, people are seeing the need that is there and the want to do something for their home country.
Indeed, yes.
So, Mrs. Harper, very important question. Why should the people of Guyana vote for you?
Well, I share a vision that I believe we all share for Guyana, which is that we want to, one, make Guyana a better place. We want to ensure that it is stable so that we can encourage even more investment than we've been having in the last 2 decades. We want to make sure that we can build a better life for our people. And so apart from, the economic growth that we have been experiencing, we also want to make sure that the people, the social progress matches our economic progress. And the policies that will be put in place if we are elected would, I believe, take us along that path. Certainly, I care for my fellow citizens, and I would like to give back to my country, and I hope that I would get the opportunity once we are elected to do that.
Now, when elected, what will we see from you in your first term? What kind of changes can we say?
Well, certainly I would like to focus on the issues pertaining to women's rights. And so we would like to, increase the dialogue, the conversation across the country with our women. I also would like to see us putting more programs in place for the elderly, for the persons who are differently abled. And I spoke about the young people earlier, but that, again, I would repeat, is another priority. So you would see, once elected and once the PPPC returns to office with a majority, this time in the Parliament, that we would be able to see these, developments taking place. And we would want to make sure that our vision, that we move forward with the vision to make Guyana a more stable, more secure, safer for everyone.
Wonderful. It's such a pleasure and honor to be sitting here with such a strong Guyanese woman. And the women who are watching you today, I'd like you to actually leave them with a strong message from a fellow strong Guyanese woman.
Well, I would like to say, first of all, thank you for having me in your homes, in wherever you're watching. Certainly, it would be a privilege for me to serve Guyana in the capacity as Prime Minister. And I would like to also encourage young women who have a dream not to let it go. And I also would like to say to every woman that we can make it if we try. And I also want to say to the men that we can't do without you and you can't do without us. So let's do it together and build Guyana.
Wonderful. And my last question to you this evening. Will we see a woman president in the years to come in Guyana?
We may.
We may. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming
Thank you,
down to Let's
Lakshmee.
Talk with Lakshmee. I'm sure all of our viewers will definitely give you their vote in Guyana. Thank you for visiting us and have a wonderful rest of the trip.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
You're
It was
welcome.
a pleasure being with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The PPPC would like to continue with its economic progress track record that it has recorded. For the last 2 decades, we've had sustained economic growth, and we'd like to be given the opportunity to continue to work with the people of Guyana, to take Guyana forward, to make Guyana safer, more secure, more stable, and we don't want to leave anyone behind in our economic growth. We'd like to ensure that our people have a quality of living that is satisfactory, that they can be safe in their homes, and encourage foreign investment, local investment.
Hello Guyana, my name is Lakshmee Singh from the Let's Talk with Lakshmee TV show, and I'm here to talk to you all about the very serious case of the suicide epidemic that's going on in Guyana. I spoke with Mr. Anand Budram, who is the CEO of the Caribbean Voice, a few days ago, and he brought to my attention that in 2014, Guyana has been rated the #1 Caribbean country in the world with the highest rate of suicide. I was completely shocked, lost for words, to know that the country that I was born in has such a serious case when it comes to suicide. Those of you who are watching this clip right now and saying, yeah, I know someone that committed suicide, or yeah, I know someone who attempted suicide, please don't sit back. Be the person that helps. If you yourself is experiencing thoughts of suicide or thinking that there's no other way and you don't know what to do except to maybe go this route, I'm here to tell you, it's not worth it. It's not worth taking your life. And I'm here to tell you that after every storm, there is a rainbow. Believe me. I know you're home, sitting back, looking at this clip, and maybe thinking that Lakshmee doesn't know what she's talking about. But let me tell you, I promise you, there is a better tomorrow. And if you're not strong enough at this point to think about yourself, think about your family. Think about the other lives that you will affect. I've heard that in Guyana, many people are taking their lives because of relationships. Let me tell you, someone else's life is not more valuable than yours. Do not take your life because maybe your relationship did not work out. It really is not worth it. Sometimes we suffer in work, jobs, and family, and education. There's stress all around the world. But let me tell you, there is help. You can reach out to the hotline number. You can call. You can talk to a friend. Talk to your teacher. Talk to your wife. Talk to your husband. Talk to your mother. Talk to your father. Talk to us here at the Caribbean Voice. Remember, before you take your life, know that your life is valuable, and we love you.
Guyana. Oh. Guyana.
I know this school is a place set up in the community to help children to further them education, to achieve a goal, a computer solving. I want to thank God for the scholarship for Rebecca Jerram, sponsored by the school. And the owner, I just want to thank God for them that can continue do the good work as they are doing in this community.
I want to say a special thanks to Civic Computer School because my daughter went to school. She do a computer course here, and she went for an interview at the Regional Democratic Council for a job with 49 persons for 2 spots. And she indicated to them that she do a course at Civic Computer School and she do have a certificate. And as soon as she produced the certificate, she was hired on the spot.
For all your special private and professional occasions, no event is too big or too small. We cover it all. Contact the professional source for all your party or special occasion needs. We have you covered at Star Party Rentals. Call us 516-239-2242. Please mention Let's Talk with Lakshmee for discount pricing.
Months ago, after my mother's hospitalization, the doctors wanted to put her in hospice. And I'm like, they deemed her terminal. And I saw Mr. Thakur, I think the founder, on TV, and he was advertising this Indian community in Kings Harbor. It's a great Indian community where my mother feels at home and she expresses her happiness to me whenever I come.
I know when I come I feel happy. I stay couple and I see everybody and I'm so happy.
I brought my mother here like a month and a half ago and I haven't regretted my decision. It's one of the best decisions I've made for my mother. It's a home away from home.